Good morning. My first word is to congratulate all the STEM gems and the stem cell diamonds and double diamonds and superstars and all of you just for being here, because you're obviously the leaders in the field in this part of the world, and so I congratulate you for being here. And I just want to thank Ray and Christian for the opportunity to be part of something that is destined to help change the entire world. And I'm just so glad to be here and to be a part of it. And I was thinking what we should do today, and I vacillated quite a bit. But eventually I settled on trying to do two things. So first I'm going to talk to you about STEM Tech, and then I'm going to talk about you and STEM Tech. In the first case, I wanted to begin by telling you a little about me. I was born in a very small island, the island of St. Kitts in the Caribbean. My island is 23 miles long and 3 miles wide. So it's just about 70 square miles, had a population of 35,000 people, and I never went off the island until I was finished high school. So I grew up, went right through high school, and I never saw a television set. I never saw a traffic light. I didn't have Nintendo. I didn't have video games. I didn't have PlayStation, all that stuff. So as young kids, we went out and we amused ourselves, we entertained ourselves, and I lived probably the most enviable childhood of anybody. I wouldn't give up my childhood for anything. It was just a pure joy to live in such idyllic circumstances and the weather and everything else. But in the course of amusing ourselves, we learned a lot about very simple things. And if you can see what I hold in my hand, I'm holding in my hand a magnifying glass. And I discovered, I just realized, I guess, one day, maybe I had studied it in school in physics, and I went outside on a sunny day, took a magnifying glass, and simply held it in front of a piece of paper like this. And what happened? It caused a fire. And that simple event now leads me to what I'm going to do for you. Because I discovered that it is possible to converge normal energy into a point, to create a focus, and when you do, you create a fire. You converge to a point, you cause a fire. Things begin to burn. And in my mind, I have a very vivid picture right now of STEM Tech on fire. So what I'm going to do in the first half of the talk is talk to you about converging into fire. Because there are 5 things that converge to make the possibility of STEM Tech creating a fire to be seen around the world. In the first case, right now it's obvious that there's widespread media publicity about stem cells. So we begin there. 30 years ago, when I was in medical school, we didn't talk about stem cells much, because at that time it really had not come even into the scientific, much less into the medical domain, and certainly not into the public mind or public arena. But since then, and over the past decade or so, 15, 20 years, we have seen an explosion in interest and in widespread information and public interest in the area of stem cells. It's now on the cover of magazines. There's a big political debate that took place over embryonic stem cells, because that's where it all started. Once we learned how to isolate stem cells from embryos and so on, and that created a whole lot of political and moral and ethical debate and so on. And then in addition, we noticed that in the past 6, 7 years, we've seen 2 Nobel Prizes awarded in this field. First in 2007 to 3 scientists who developed what are called knockout mice, which is an application of stem cell science, if you like. And then more recently, last year, 2012, the Nobel Prize was awarded to Professor John Gurdon and Dr. Yamanaha, for their work, which I should probably just mention it to you because this is something so important. Professor Gurdon, back in 1956, did some experiments to demonstrate that every cell in the human body contains all its DNA. That sounds so basic and trivial to you, but that was so important that it was worthy of a Nobel Prize. Advanced 50 years to 2006, and a much younger scientist, Dr. Yamanaha, demonstrated that by simply manipulation of just a few genes in the cell, it is possible to cause almost any cell in the body to go backwards to make a stem cell. So you can start with skin cells and by manipulation convert them into stem cells. So now we don't even need the embryos at all because we can literally make stem cells at will almost. And those two watershed breakthroughs justified the award of the Nobel Prize. But what it also did was to put stem cells front and center. In addition to that, of course, 2013 has been designated the year of the stem cell. That's where we are. We are right in the year of the stem cell. So all this publicity, and every day, by the way, there's more and more information, research, breakthroughs being announced almost on a daily basis in the media. You turn on CNN, you turn on MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, you read all the papers. In fact, around the world, this research is being reported. So it's very current, it's on people's minds. You talk about it in the elevator, by the coffee machine, and everybody knows what you're talking about. Stem cells, of course, stem cells. Everybody knows, stem cells. But they're all missing a key. We know what that is. We'll talk about that in a minute. The second thing that helps to converge to create the STEM tech fire is that there's a lot of intense research going on at the moment. Hundreds, if not thousands of laboratories all over the world are actively doing research in this area because it is so promising. And every day, of course, lots of new information is being gathered, and the whole thing is breaking out. And these intense research programs are basically providing so much new information that the field is advancing faster than we can keep up. In the book I just wrote, I summarized the research in three major areas. In the first area, it is helping us to get a basic understanding of cell science. We are learning a lot more about genes and what makes genes turn on and turn off, and how to manipulate genes and cells, and growing them in different types of culture media, and transferring from one to the other, and so on. A lot of that is going on, and that's basic science, and that is threatening to revolutionize our whole understanding of how the human body works and how the basic cells remain as healthy as they do on a regular basis. A second area is in the area of drug testing. Typically what has happened is we've developed drugs, used them to test on animals, and then gone and tested them on people. But there are a lot of illnesses that is very difficult to test on people because it's almost unethical to do certain things. However, because of stem cells, we now are able to use stem cells to create, as it were, diseases in a test tube. That's the best way to think of it. Think of it like creating a disease, creating cells in a test tube that have the basic flaw of a disease that you're trying to study. And then you can study the effect of drugs on those diseased cells in test tubes. So a lot of that is going on around the world again. Pharmaceutical companies are investing a lot in this, a lot of scientists are involved. But the area of drug testing, revolutionizing science and medicine. But perhaps where the biggest thing is happening is in the area of what we call stem cell therapy. What we typically call on the street regenerative medicine. Because if stem cells can become cells of any type, in principle at least, if you have stem cells, you could use those stem cells to make essentially spare parts for the body. If you could take stem cells and make them into bone and tissue and blood and skin and so on, then obviously, if in theory at least, if you learn how to do it right, maybe you could make spare parts for the body. And this is such an amazing thing that in the old days, this used to be science fiction. But now it's not science fiction. The media jumps on every little thing they hear and they blow it out of proportion, and you kind of feel, man, in the next week or two, we're going to have some big breakthrough to solve major problems. Somebody got a spinal cord injury. Now we can make spinal cords. Really? You know, or somebody's got Alzheimer's. Now we can make brain cells and just inject them and get rid of Alzheimer's. It's not as simple as that. It's not going to work like that. But the prospect of regenerative medicine has put this on the front page of the news and made it common in the public marketplace. This is important because what you're involved in STEM tech is front and center of the whole stem cell revolution, which means that you speak current, relevant, important into an arena where everybody around you knows something about what you're talking about. So this is a remarkable opportunity because it is current and it's very relevant. However, what has happened is they have created this great expectation in the public, as if something big is about to happen. It's not. And the media has exaggerated it to the point that it has almost become unbelievable. So that so many people, especially people who have chronic illness or they have relatives with major illness, they're somehow anticipating that if mommy could only hold on long enough, we'd be able to get some stem cell treatment for her and restore her life. The reality is that there are big challenges to be overcome. The two major challenges to be overcome, number one, is that when you add things to the human body, the body tends to reject them. So you've got the whole area of rejection. Because once you change the body from its normal state, it becomes different, it becomes foreign, and the body it tends to reject. So that's the first area, one of rejection. The second big area, of course, is in the area of keeping control. Because once you modify nature and you inject nature with these other things, they grow out of control and cause cancer. So the whole idea of carcinogenesis as a result of the therapy becomes another. Those are just two of the big areas. But there are a lot of other areas involved in manipulating the cells and so on. But they're great challenges. So we do know that although they're doing a lot of good work, they're still missing a key. We in STEM tech know what that is. In fact, we have it right in our hands. Here's the third thing that's converging. The publicity from the media, the research from the scientists, and now the emergence of what I call a new wellness paradigm. Remarkable, remarkable development. And the paradigm begins, of course, with the work of Christian Drapeau, you know who he is, and Dr. Geeta Jensen, who you may not have met yet, but you probably will one day. But their work essentially came up with what essentially was an initial hypothesis. But the hypothesis has now been proven. There's lots of scientific data to support it. And basically the idea is that on a given day, every human being has bone marrow. This bone marrow is producing stem cells. These stem cells are going into circulation, going around the body, and on being summoned through the secretion of different types of chemicals or what we call chemokines. It attracts the stem cells into injured tissue. These cells migrate into the tissue. They multiply or proliferate, and they differentiate to become cells of the particular tissue type. And in that way, they're constantly renewing the human body. This is a wellness paradigm because our cells are constantly at war. And I like this image a lot because I spent almost 30 years of my life trying to feed cells. And my whole mindset, I wrote books about it, I gave seminars, I don't know how many of those, about feeding cells. Because that's how we actually got to this. We started off, of course, in the 50s with vitamins, and then we went from vitamins to herbal products, and then to antioxidants, and then to fiber, and a whole host of nutritional developments, all designed to feed cells. But the reality is that cells are fighting, and no matter how well you feed the cell, they eventually die, which leads to the problem that they need to be replaced. So when I discovered this, and that's what I responded to when Christian spoke to me, I saw it right away. When cells die, they need to be replaced. How do they replace themselves? We now understand stem cells get into the tissues and literally proliferate and differentiate to become new cells. So we're now fighting a war where we understand there's a supply of fresh, vibrant, resilient troops that can go to the front lines to fight the battle. This is the new paradigm of wellness. And I know nowhere else where we talk about it like this. There are a lot of businesses, a lot of companies, a lot of products involved in health and wellness. This is where we talk about building new cells, replenishing the body, using stem cells, and then using nutrition to enhance those stem cells to do the job. Needless to say, when we talk of wellness, we've got to focus on the specifics. Personal responsibility implies that we must take responsibility for our health. Everybody you speak to, whether you speak to them live or on the internet or by webinars, everybody you speak to has to understand that their life is not in their doctor's hands. Their health is certainly not in their doctor's hands. It's in their own hands. You've got to do on a daily basis the things that lead to health and wellness and prolonging your life. It's what you do between your visits to the doctor, between the visits, that determines what happens to you. You know, when people come to the hospital, somebody's got a heart attack, for example. They have coronary artery disease. They come into the emergency. They go up to the coronary care unit. They get stabilized. They essentially get through the worst, and they get restored, and they're ready to leave for home. At that time, nearly all heart patients, almost to a man, to a person, you tell me now, doctor, what I'm supposed to do. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I got a second chance, okay? I mean, it could have been I didn't make it, but I made it. So now tell me what I'm supposed to do. The most vulnerable time for a patient to listen to good wellness information is after they've been through a crisis or after they get a diagnosis from the doctor. Because now they feel, what can I do? But they're crying at the bottom of the cliff when they should be paying attention way up above the cliff. And that's where we live. We live up there, above the cliff, at the bottom of the cliff. That's where doctors are. That's where I'm going to put on my medical thing. That's where I am down there. But when I'm doing stem cell and stem tech business, I'm up here. Big difference. So, personal responsibility. Number 2, prevention. Preventing the problem before the problem sets in. Thirdly, doing it in a natural way. Nature provides so much for the health of the human body. And the more we learn, the more we understand, the more we utilize this, we're able to do it in natural means without a lot of side effects and without complications and so on. But we must actually participate with nature and do it in nature's way. And finally, personal integrity. What that implies is that we must not become a kidney plus a heart plus a liver plus some skin plus a whole bunch of things which make me. I am one human being. I don't go to this doctor to look after this doctor to look after this doctor to look after this, and hope that somehow in the end it all adds up together. If I want to be healthy, if I want to be well, I have to think of how I could impact my entire body. That's why all the lifestyle factors address that. Diet, exercise, mental attitude, managing stress, avoiding, etc., 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 etc. All for the entire human body. Focus on the whole person. All right. As part of this wellness paradigm, which is one of these things that's converging to cause the fire, we now understand that we can use nutritional products, natural products, organic products, to help to enhance the stem cells that the scientists are so actively working on in the laboratory and in the clinic. What we have is a way to enhance the release, the circulation, and the migration of stem cells. In that way, we, of course, support the renewal. Now, here's the fourth stream. I told you about the media. I told you about research. I told you about this new wellness paradigm. Now comes where you come in. That STEM tech provides the first, in a sense, the leadership, the pioneering in this field. And in this regard, we stand in a class by ourselves. Now, STEM tech pioneered, the understanding of this normal physiological process. This began with Christian and Dr. Jensen in terms of articulating it. A lot of scientists were working around it and seeing different aspects of it, but they brought it together to demonstrate that this is the normal physiological process of renewal. STEMtech is the leader, the pioneer in the area of using the natural products, the sources of AFA and fucoidan that we use now, to put them together and to demonstrate that they enhance the release of stem cells. That's a pioneering activity, and it's been done, STEMtech being responsible. And thirdly, they went even further to find out how we do it. We now understand that both AFA and fucoidan contain particular molecules that block the adhesive that holds the stem cells in the bone marrow. I'm referring to L-selectin. These L-selectin blockers, in a sense, reduce the adhesive effect of the stem cells in the bone marrow. So when you use these products, more stem cells leave the bone marrow, go out into the circulation, more get to the tissues, more are available for renewal of the body, and as a result, the whole body benefits. This is a pioneering influence of STEMtech in this entire field, and that puts you front and center. Furthermore, STEMtech went on to get the patents that demonstrate what we're talking about. So all STEMtech people should recognize that this is not just something that somebody dreamed up or thought about or speculated on. This is researched, published, and patented information. All of you ought to be very well aware that there are two key patents. One for the method that enhances stem cell trafficking, and the other for a way of basically taking these products and concentrating the important ingredients and then making them convenient for normal, regular, daily use. Those two patents put STEMtech in a class by itself. Then they went on to do the clinical demonstration, where if you take volunteers under good, scientific, regulated, standardized conditions, and you feed these products to volunteers, and you monitor the effect on stem cell release, you can demonstrate that if you take AFA, you see the increase. You take fucoidan, you see the increase. You put together a particular combination, you see the increase that is prolonged over time. And all this is well demonstrated, published, patented, and so on. They went on to, in a sense, take leadership in terms of actually doing this commercially. So now we use this special AFA. It's unique in its source, unique in its harvesting, unique in its processing, unique in its quality control, and in its efficacy. So special, unique efficacy. They developed the technology to isolate AFA in a way that makes it top-notch and pure and without any side effects from contaminations and so on. And of course, developed the methodology to guarantee that the quality of the product is built in. In our industry, this whole industry of supplementation, there are a lot of people who just fall short on doing adequate control. Here, STEMtech are pioneers in the field, and we pioneer in all three areas. Let me just take one moment to demonstrate clearly the difference between stem cell nutrition and stem cell medicine. What we have is so good that we are in danger of misusing it. Let me explain what I mean. If you have a product that enhances stem cells, and stem cells have this remarkable ability to do so much in the human body, it is tempting to assume that stem cells will do anything you want it to do. So take any condition, any problem, any situation, any diagnosis, any individuals, give it to them, solve the problem. That's an abuse. That's a misuse of STEMtech and of stem cell nutrition. Stem cell nutrition is exactly that. It focuses on enhancing stem cells. It uses nutrition, but it remains stem cell nutrition. Stem cell medicine is exactly that. It focuses on stem cells, it uses medicine, and it achieves what stem cell medicine is designed to do. Now, here's the problem. If you leave the doctors to do stem cell medicine amongst the small section of the population that needs it, and you concentrate on doing stem cell nutrition with the overwhelming vast majority of the population that needs it, you never need to go over into the medical issue. You just stay right there, Main Street, stem cell nutrition. You have a large market, large opportunity, a big ear of reception, tremendous effects when people use the products. In other words, stem cell nutrition can stand on its own. That's why my book is called The Amazing Power of Stem Cell Nutrition. So let me now derive what I mean. Look at the origin. Stem cell nutrition begins in a laboratory with scientists sitting down trying to discover something. Stem cell nutrition begins out on a lake where God allows algae to grow. And people over time eat algae and seaweed, and they see health benefit. And later we go back and find out nutrition has caused benefits to the body after the fact because it's nature at work. It's a discovery, not an invention. It's a natural intervention. It is not concocting something in a test tube which could have all kinds of side effects and complications and all that. This is a normal, natural, organic, biological product. It's designed to emphasize health, not disease. It's focused on health. It's focused for people with good health to keep them in health so health becomes the main thing. And always let the main thing be the main thing. Anything else you get is bonus. So if somebody takes the products and they see some medical benefit, thank God for that, but that's a bonus. The main reason is that every day we eat. Nutrition is universal. Every human being on the face of the earth must eat. Why? Because we eat to live. We had nutrition and food before medicine and drugs. Just so we have stem cell nutrition before stem cell medicine. It has universal application, which means you don't have to find people with problems, with specific problems, with medical problems, with health problems. No. You don't have to find people of any special type, any special age, any gender, any race. No, it's universal application. In addition to that, what did I do? There we go. In addition to that, these are food sources, not drugs. Drugs are kept in a pharmacy because they're dangerous. Dangerous. So you have to go to school. You have to get a license to give these drugs to anybody. These are food sources. You don't have to go to school. You don't need a license. You don't have to hide it. You just simply put it out. Let anybody try it. Very important distinction. It's biology, not biotechnology. Biology, that's where we all live. We live as biological beings, not biotechnological beings. Biotechnology is an addition. It's something that we've learned to do and to harness, and thank God for it, but it has its limited application. Biology is universal. It's not based on diagnostic medicine. Now, very important. I'm a doctor. I practice as a doctor. So many people think that if they only tell me their medical issue, I could tell them all about how stem tech or stem cell nutrition is going to help them. That's practicing medicine. Because in medicine, we go through a diagnosis, we find a problem, we label the problem. Once you label the problem, you turn the page, here's all the things you do. Turn the page, here's all the things that are going to happen. Turn the page, and this is the outcome. That's medicine. This is not based on diagnostic medicine. When I eat carrots, I don't have to ask anything about my heart or my brain cells. I just eat carrots. When I eat food, all food, I don't have to stop to think about all the medical implications. I don't have to go and look for anybody with a particular disease to tell them, here's some potatoes, have some potatoes. And as long as you are able to focus on what you have, remember, I think I must have said this to some of you before. We are only conduits of nature. We do not do anything for nature. We are simply conduits. Here's the natural product. Here's the human living person. I allow the product to pass via me to this person, and the product does everything. Because everything in this natural product knows everything it needs to do in this individual. Everything. And it does it all. It doesn't need any help. It doesn't have to be coaxed. It doesn't have to be pushed. It doesn't have to be educated. It doesn't have to answer any questions. It does not come to anybody. All the natural product goes into the natural body to produce all the natural benefits. Is that simple or what? When you drink a glass of water, you drink a glass of water. Do you know what happens to that water? You forget it. But every molecule of that water goes through your body. And every molecule knows exactly what it's supposed to do. Some go up to form blood that goes to my heart and my blood vessels. Some go down to my skin to keep my temperature moist and warm. Some go up to my brain to look. Just a glass of water. We don't have to teach water to do anything. We don't have to educate water. We don't have to explain water. We just drink water. Same thing is true, and I'm eager to communicate this to you because it's so important for you to understand that the value of your product is not in you, nor your understanding, nor your knowledge, nor your good looks, nor your fine speech. It has all to do with the fact that natural products find natural bodies to produce natural benefits. End of story. Not for professionals. Well, let's go on, because there's so much more to say. I just wanted to include this because when we talk about stem cell nutrition, we must always put it in a context. The context is that we do more than just eat. We actually live. We have a lifestyle. And if you're focused on wellness and health, you have to be focused on the entire lifestyle. So there are lifestyle factors that are going to influence both your stem cells and your health. We've got a whole chapter in the book about that. You want to avoid smoking and manage stress and keep a good attitude and get moderate exercise and adequate rest and complete and balanced nutrition. You can't just live on StemTech products. You got to eat normal, complete, balanced nutrition. But it includes supplementation. Here's the take-home message on this. Stem cell nutrition addresses a particular process that's going on in the body. The normal, natural stem cell renewal process, whereby stem cells leave the bone marrow, go into circulation, go to the tissues, get invaded to migrate into the tissues to multiply and become cells of each given tissue as it needs it. The second part of it is just as important. We now have a nutritional intervention, a way of doing something to enhance that process. And that's really what stem cell nutrition is all about. That's what you can do. Now, I summarized all this in a simple mantra. I would like to teach it to you. I'd like you to learn how to use it. You can walk up to anybody and tell anybody and everybody that everybody has stem cells, everybody uses stem cells every day. Stem cells work, and they work every time. Why is that so important? Because it makes it universal. It's a universal statement that everybody's using stem cells. And the stem cells are doing everything they need to do. Where you come in is that you can influence the stem cells. You can enhance your stem cells. And that's what you do. So you introduce StemTech as a simple way to enhance your normal stem cells. And let that happen, and then the stem cells will know everything they need to do. You don't have to teach them anything. All right, enough of that. Let's go to the fifth thing. I told you it's a converging of the media, the research, the wellness paradigm, the way of thinking about wellness, StemTech as the pioneer, and finally look at this, a global opportunity. You've heard all about this in the past 24 hours. This morning you heard about it from Ray. What a wonderful picture he gave you. Yesterday you heard it from Dr. Gross. What an amazing presentation showing you what's happening around the world in terms of network marketing, in terms of people in search of opportunity, in search of people in search of making a difference in the world. And what a remarkable thing to see a global opportunity coming to life. A global opportunity. You heard already, of course, that we're in a number of countries, but Ray told you this morning that by the end of 2014, 40 different countries, and each person in this room who's building a STEM tech business has the opportunity to literally take advantage of that worldwide, global opportunity. But now let me get back to my little metaphor. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. It only takes a spark. One spark could make a fire. But what you need is an ignition process, a way to light this fire. So now I'm going to talk to you about you, because STEM tech could cause one big global conflagration as a fire, and you could be left out. So I want to talk to you for the next few minutes about you and how you yourself could become ignited, till you yourself could begin to burn with this. Because as you do, you'll become magnetic. Let me just illustrate it this way. Number one, if you're going to be on fire, you need something called burning desire. Burning desire to do something, desire to make a difference. Anybody in this room wants to make a difference before you pass on? You're looking at somebody. Since I was a very small child, I've been driven by this. The desire to make a difference. And you can make a difference in so many areas through STEM tech. You could do it by changing somebody's basic lifestyle, by changing their health outcomes, by changing their life, by changing their family life, by changing their attitude. So many different ways you can make a difference. But you got to want to do it. You must have the desire to do, to make a difference. The desire to have. You saw it yesterday in the illustrations Dr. Gross gave of people who came from nothing. But just by burning desire to have a different life, applied themselves, ignited themselves, and went out and transformed them, no ordinary, meager, almost hopeless circumstances into something of pride and achievement and success. To do, to have. To do is good, to have is good, to do is probably better. But best of all is to be. Because in the process is the desire to become a better person. As you go through the experience of building your business, of sharing your STEM tech opportunity, you are going to change, and you change for the better. And as a result, after a while, you look back and you wonder, was that really me? Because you've changed so much. Change in the way you think, change in the way you walk, change in the way you have an outlook on the world, change in your self-perception, change in the way you communicate, change in the way you plan, in the way you apply yourself, in the way you strategize. And you're changing, you're growing. And as a result, you become a much better person. Look, if you don't want to do STEM tech to change a lot of people's lives, if you don't want to do STEM tech to have a super lifestyle, then do it just to become the person you can be. Otherwise, you will live and never live the life you are capable of living. Because there's an opportunity here to become, to grow in the process. So your ignition process begins with this thing called desire. The second thing is focus. Focus. I went to Niagara Falls. I live in Canada. In Niagara Falls, one lake literally goes over the falls to empty to the lake below. It had done this for centuries, if not for millennia. Until 1904, I think it was, one particular person, an engineer, stood at the falls and he got an idea. His idea was, if I could build a little generator underneath the falls, and I could let all this energy that's just pouring over the falls hit the turbines of this generator, I could produce electromagnetic radiation, energy. Right now, a large proportion of the energy that lights the homes and factories and buildings in the city of Toronto are lit from that electromagnetic generating station. He learned that by focusing the energy, he's able to produce electromagnetic radiation. Now listen to this. You could have all the desire in the world. If you don't focus it, you will never experience electromagnetic energy. What is electro? It will make you shake. When this electricity turns on in your person, you light up. You become a brand new human being because you're electrified. Electrified. Does that describe you? Electrified. Because you are so focused on something that it has electrified your whole personality. It makes you magnetic. Why? You draw people to you. You draw ideas to you. You draw opportunities into your space because you are so focused, it has made you magnetic. You want to light a fire? Focus your desire until you become electromagnetic. What do you focus on? Here's the first thing. Focus on people. Focus on people. I'm a doctor, and I can only tell you how many times I've explained to my patients. In fact, the thing in my office right now that's going on is this. I'm 64, coming up to 65. So a lot of my patients are beginning to think that maybe I'm going to retire. And I told them, no. I asked the good Lord to let me work till I'm 85. Why? I'll tell you, ask Don Kahn, he'd be living with me. Why do I want to live till I'm 85? Because I have an image. If at 85, I could get out my bed, stand on my feet, eat my breakfast, go out the door, drive to work, sit down, understand what's going on, communicate to patients, help them. What a way to live at 85. Are you with me? Okay. Now, I then go on to tell them, the reason I want to do it is because of people like you. That's what I tell my patients. It's people like you. I don't want to be home because then I would meet you. I wouldn't get to interact with you. I wouldn't get to make a difference with you. So you and me got something going. So I'm not giving this up for another 20 years. You and me. You got it? Focus on people. Focus on people. Focus on people. Not on money, not on success, not on products. Focus on people. Because as long as you remain focused on people, you become electric and you become magnetic. Focus on people. Second thing to focus on is the big picture. Don't let the little minutiae every day get you so distracted and so depressed and so dejected that you can't function. Keep your eyes on the big picture of what you're doing. Yesterday when I sat and listened to Dr. Gross, and I watched the image of these people who started with nothing and built these large companies with thousands of people coming to weekly meetings. I thought to myself, when they were down there, they were looking on the horizon and they were imagining what's out there. And they saw this big picture of what's possible. And all I can tell you is, the day you get that big picture, all the little bumps that are happening right here don't seem to mean too much. You just go past them because you got your eye on the big picture. Focus on the big picture. Focus on where you're going, what you're building, what your life is going to add up to. Focus on the big picture. And thirdly, focus on leadership. Why? Why leadership? Because our business is all about leadership. Why? I told you the products do everything. They know what to do. You don't have to teach them anything. It's people who don't know what to do. And if you teach them and they learn what to do, they in turn will go out and do it and teach other people who need to know what to do. So it's leadership that makes it all happen. Leadership makes it happen. And as you build focus on leadership, number one, being the number one leader yourself. That's important. That's important. That's very important. Don't try to go and look to recruit leaders until you yourself are satisfied you could look yourself in the mirror and says, I am the leader. I am the leader. Don't wait for Ray or Christian to do something to transform your business. Don't even wait for your upline to do something. Focus in the mirror. Look yourself in the mirror and says, I am the leader. I'm going to be like a leader. I'm going to act like a leader, think like a leader, work like a leader, walk like a leader, build like a leader, do everything like a leader. And then I'm going to keep my eyes open for other people who could be leaders. And I'm going to seat in them before they're seating themselves. And I'm going to start telling them what leaders they are and helping them to become leaders, recognizing them for being leaders, and helping them to be better leaders and bigger leaders. Focus on leadership. Desire and focus. Number 3, you need a strategy. Strategy. You want to light the fire? Here it is. A strategy. Develop a strategy that defines daily activity. Talk is cheap. Talk is so cheap. You've got to know on a daily basis what you're going to do. What you're going to do on a daily basis. Till after a while, this is what I do every day. And if you're not happy with what you do every day, then change it. Make it better. But you've got to have a daily activity, a daily routine. A daily activity. And here's a good way to remember this. Action produces results. Massive action, massive results. So if I do the right daily activity, as long as I keep doing that daily activity, I will get results. Guaranteed. Secondly, develop a strategy that's not addition, but multiplication. Addition implies that you're going to go out and keep adding to your business. So you can keep getting a lot of people, sponsoring a lot of people, doing a lot of things yourself. That's addition. Multiplication says no. I'm going to get 1, and the 2 of us are going to get 2 more, that's 4, and then 4 of us will get 4 more, that'll be 8, and 8 of us will get 8 more, that'll be 16. And I'm going by multiplication. 2 by 2 by 2, 2 by 5 is 32, 2 by 10 is 1,000. Did you get that? That's right. So if you just duplicate 10 times, you have 1,000 people, like that, 10 times. If you do it once a week, in 10 weeks, you'll have 1,000 people. Do it once a month, in 10 months, you'll have 1,000 people. Multiplication, multiplication. In the name of the game, in every generation, they'll play it the same. Multiplication. How do you think 7 billion people came to the world? Multiplication, multiplication, multiplication. There ain't no woman could have 7 billion children. No way. Multiplication, multiplication, multiplication. So help people to multiply. Work with them to multiply. And finally, use more than one approach. Some people have a strategy which simply says, I know one thing I do, and I do it so well, I just keep doing it. In today's world, the world is too complex. You need to have a number of strategies. So some things you're going to do in your office on the internet. Some things you're going to do getting up, going out the house, and walking out the house to do certain things. Some things you're going to do on the telephone. You pick up your telephone, you're going to do this. Some people are going to send emails. You're going to have an email thing going. Some people are going to, and so on. Just develop a lot of strategies and work your strategies on a daily basis. Number 4, you have a burning desire, you focus it, you develop your strategy, now you need resilience. Resilience implies that you're going to keep bouncing back like rubber. No matter what happens to you, you're going to bounce back. And here's what makes you bounce back. Number 1, you understand the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that if I'm on fire, I'm going to attract other people who want to be on fire just like me. If I'm cold like ice, everybody else around me will be cold like ice. I'm still literally going to attract people like myself. So the law of attraction simply says, I'm going to be the best leader, the best superstar, the best example, because other people is going to be like me. You will literally attract people just like yourself. Law of attraction. The law of averages says this, I don't have to get everybody. I know I don't have to get everybody. Just like our baseball hitter doesn't have to hit a home run every time he swings. The best home run hitter is probably going to get 50, 60 home runs this year. 50, 60 swings, that's it. All the other 1,000 times he swing, nothing. Did you get that? Did you get that? So you talk to people, talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Do the meeting, go to 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 meeting. Send email, send email, send email, send email, send email. Show my book, show my book, show my book, show my book, show my book. You do everything by the thousands. Just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and the averages will catch up. Your responsibility is to do on a daily basis the daily activity that produces results. Action produces results. The law of averages will take over. If I had a dice in my hand, 6 sides, I can't tell you if I throw what I will throw. But I'll guarantee you if I throw it 6,000 times, I'll get exactly 1,000 sixes. Guaranteed. If I have a dice and I roll it 6,000 times, I'll get 1,000 sixes. 1 in 6. So all I got to do is keep rolling the dice. So if I want to throw 1,000 sixes, I know exactly what to do. Okay? I try, 100 times an hour, 100 times an hour, 100 times an hour, 100 times an hour. In 60 hours, I'll have 1,000 sixes. Then there's the law of the harvest. As you build your business, you'll notice this. At first, you do a lot of things you don't get paid for. Later, you get paid for a lot of things you don't do. Because the law of averages, law of the harvest says you're going to sow what you reap. You'll sow later than you reap, and you'll sow much more than you reap. And that's what provides resilience. As long as you realize, just like a farmer, every farmer knows, man, someday it's going to be rain, someday it's going to be sun. But if he does what he's supposed to do, he just goes and waits for harvest. Same thing in your business. So finally, you've got desire, you focus, you develop a strategy, you build this wall of resilience that allows you to come back, to bounce back, to stay on your feet, to be strong and to produce. And finally, you light yourself a fire. I have an image. I told you my first image is of STEM Tech on fire. When STEM Tech is on fire, there'll be thousands of people knocking at the doors to get in. When STEM Tech is on fire, everybody wants to talk to STEM Tech. When STEM Tech is on fire, lots and lots of people are going to be doing lots and lots of exciting things, making lots and lots of money, helping lots and lots of people, building lots and lots of new leaders. That's STEM Tech on fire. When STEM Tech on fire has become a household word, we'll be on radio and TV everywhere. Everybody knows the name STEM Tech. Around the world, STEM Tech on fire, STEM Tech on fire. Everybody heard STEM Tech on fire, STEM Tech on fire. Did you hear STEM Tech on fire? STEM Tech on fire. You heard about STEM Tech on fire? And everybody hears about this massive explosion taking place in STEM Tech. But I have another image. I have another image of the individual on fire. That's the exciting part. The individual on fire. Are you on fire? Are you on fire? Are you really on fire? Let me give you a little challenge. For the rest of this convention, here's a little practice. For the rest of this convention, everybody you shake hands with, everybody you meet. Exactly. You want to shake hands now saying, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. Somebody said this. If you set yourself on fire, listen, if you set yourself on fire, the whole world will come to watch you burn. There's something electric. There's something magnetic. There's something so life-giving and energy-producing and stimulating and encouraging and that fire produces. But you got to ignite your own fire. When I arrived here yesterday, I walked into this room and I had two pressing emotions. The meeting was in session, and my first pressing emotion was I looked around and I said, man, what a beautiful convention. Just look at the stage, look at the setting, look at the lighting, look at the pictures, look at the people on stage, look at this beautiful hotel, look at this room. And I saw all this and I said, what a wonderful convention. And then I had a second emotion. My second emotion said, man, we should have 5,000 people here. Because I came in thinking of STEM Tech on fire. I walked in the room because I flew all the way down on the plane thinking about STEM Tech on fire, STEM Tech on fire, STEM Tech on fire. And when I walked into the room, I said, oh, light my fire, light my fire, light my fire, light my fire. What about you? What about you? You started crying to yourself, light my fire, light my fire, light my fire, light my fire. So that your whole personality, your whole business, your whole organization, your whole family, your neighborhood, people begin to understand, hey, man, that guy's on fire. Don't let this pass you by. Because the fire is going to happen with or without you. Today I give you an invitation. Light your fire. Light your fire. Light your fire. Or I could finish by telling you, I'm already on fire.